This is the 2021 Lincoln Nautilus, powered by either a 2-liter turbo or a 2.7-liter twin-turbo engine. Now, a few exciting things about the new 2021 Nautilus. It got an upgrade. Now, a little bit of a visual on the outside, but the big thing is going to be the inside. We went from an interesting screen that was kind of pushed into the dash into a 12.3-inch digital that looks incredible, absolutely beautiful. I'm excited to share it with you today. But let's dive right into it and see what the 2021 Lincoln Nautilus has to offer. Now, starting off, taking a peek under the hood of the vehicle. Now, the 2021 Nautilus does have two available engine choices. It's either a 2-liter turbo or a 2.7-liter twin turbo that we're looking at inside of this vehicle. From a power perspective, the 2-liter is going to push out 250 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, while the 2.7-liter is going to be able to push out 335 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. It is incredible what this thing can do. Now, taking a peek under the hood, a few things that we've got easy access to. We can easily top up our fluids if we want to. We can easily check or change our oil if we're handy, want to do it ourselves. And we've also got easy access to the battery in case we ever need to give anybody a boost. Now, taking a peek at some standard technology, as you can see there, we do have our backup camera. We've got the reverse sensing system, so a few sensors in the back there. Now, we also do have a lane keeping system as well as a blind spot system, so that lets us know if anybody needs to enter the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. Now, when it comes down to the Nautilus, we are looking at the 201A version of the vehicle. We do have the optional 360 camera, which is going to give us a forward sensing system as well, and it also gives us that front-facing camera. So we can just kind of make that out along the bottom of the grille there, but that looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So we've got some stitch views that we can get inside of the vehicle. We're going to touch on that in just a little bit. All right, we're taking a peek at the key fob. So nothing's changed between the 2020 versus the 2021 model year. Along the very top, we've got our unlock button, our lock button, remote start, our trunk release, as well as our horn or a panic alarm button. Now, on top of that, we do still have our emergency access key, so if we ever need to get access to the vehicle without the fob starting, we've got the ability to do that. Now, when it comes down to remote starting the vehicle, we can either remote start it through our cell phone, so through the Lincoln Way app, whether an Android or an iPhone device. We can also remote start from the key fob. Remote starting from the key fob, all we're going to do is press this lock button once and the circle button twice. So as you can see there, the vehicle is remote started. In order to cancel the remote start from the fob, we're going to press that circle button once. And the remote start is now canceled. Now, when it comes down to getting in the trunk of the vehicle, we've got a couple options. Looking at the key fob, we've got the ability to double press this button in order to get into the trunk, but we've also got a couple options on the outside, even on the inside. So just to the left of the steering wheel, there's a button we can open and close it. It's a power liftgate. We've also got the ability to open it up on the outside. So if we look in Lincoln, just under the L, and we move our way down, there's a button right underneath, and that can move that liftgate up and down. But one of the beautiful things about the Nautilus is that, or the entire Lincoln lineup, is that we do have a foot-activated power liftgate. So you got a handful of golf bags, groceries, whatever the case may be. All you're going to do is just swipe your foot underneath and step back. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Let's have a peek inside. Now, taking a peek at the cargo dimensions, so they're going to be showing up there. So as you can see, we have a nice amount of width, depth, and height. Now, when it comes down to height, I've actually measured from the very top here all the way down. So we do have a couple extra inches in behind if we need that space, but having said that, loading it will be a little bit difficult. So I just go from the very top of the lip there all the way down to the bottom instead. So with that second row folded down, as you can see, we have a lot more cargo space. Specifically, we've got a lot more depth inside of the vehicle. Now, if you need a little bit more space than that, you could look at the Lincoln Aviator instead. If you need a little bit less, you could absolutely look at the Lincoln Corsair. There are videos coming soon. Drop down in the description below for those head-to-head videos going over the Lincoln Corsair versus the Nautilus, etc. Let's take a closer look in the back now. So, a couple things to point out along the right-hand side. So as you can see there, we do have a speaker. We've got a few cargo hooks as well. Now, we also do have the ability for a privacy shade, so that's an easy installation, easy removal if we'd like it. Looking along the left-hand side, so we've got a 12-volt adapter. If we need to plug in a traditional cigarette lighter adapter, we can do that. And we've also got power seats. So we've got the ability to manually fold down if we want to, but if we're in the back here and we need to fold down, we can either press and hold one side. Now, one thing to note is that it is powered down, but it is manual backup. So definitely something to consider there. And then as you can see, we do have one more cargo hook along the side. Now this is going to be the standard cover for the trunk area. You do have the option for a thermoplastic rubber tray instead, but it's really going to come down to a matter of personal preference. Along the back, as you can see, we do have some scuff plates, which is great. Now taking a peek as we lift up this cover, this is new for the 2021 model year, so we do not have that tire standard anymore. We do have the inflator kit instead. Looking along the left-hand side, as you can see there, we do have our spigot if we ever need to use a jerry can to fill up the tank, and we've got a little bit of storage space along both sides. Now, I'm kind of torn on the idea of not having the spare tire, but one of the nice things about being a Lincoln owner is that you do have Lincoln roadside assistance for the lifetime that you own the vehicle. If that gets transferred out to another person, so if you sell your vehicle, they're going to be able to get 6 years up to 110,000 kilometers of coverage under that roadside assistance program. Now, if you're ever going to be towing inside of this vehicle, I absolutely recommend to get the tow package from the factory for a few different reasons. Firstly, it just looks aesthetically more pleasing. The way that it's cut out, it just fits nicely in the bumper. That's number one. Number two, towing capacity. When it comes down to it, you do something aftermarket, you're going to be able to tow about 1,500 pounds. However, you get the tow package from the factory, and that's going to go up to 3,500 pound towing capacity, whether you're looking at the 2-liter or the 2.7 liter engine. Now, on top of that, when you get the tow package from the factory, you also do get trailer sway control. The sway control, if this vehicle senses that there's sway going on in the trailer, it's automatically going to apply engine braking to get that sway under control. Now, filling up in fuel inside of the vehicle is a straightforward process. If we look along our driver's side door, we've got a little cutout there. All we're going to do is press, and that opens up. As you can see, we've got a capless system. We're just going to insert our hose, fill up, and once we're done, we're going to close and lock it back into place. Now, when it comes down to fuel quality, minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just 87 octane, so your regular fuel. Now, having said that, this is a performance vehicle. So when it comes down to the fuel quality, I do recommend the 91 octane instead, so a premium fuel. Because if we look at the horsepower and the torque specs, those are all accomplished using a 91 octane. Now, when it comes down to it, do you need to use that higher quality fuel? No, but you will notice about a 10% fuel economy savings if you go into that premium fuel instead, and it will be better underneath the hood. When it comes down to second row spacing, so I've got the driver's seat set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall, so I've got plenty of room for my knees. I've got lots of room for my feet as well. Now, when it comes down to up overhead, I've got maybe an inch of headspace in the back seat. If I moved into the middle, I'd have an inch and a half maybe up ahead. So it's definitely something to note. If you've got taller people, they may need to either sit in the driver passenger seat, or you might have to look at the Aviator or the Navigator instead, because we're going to have a lot more head clearance space when it comes down to it. Now, looking along the back, so as you can see along the driver and the passenger side, we do have pockets along both seats. And as we start to move down, so as you can see there, we do have heated seats. Now, the heated seats are going to be just for the outside seats. So the outboard seats, the middle seat here it's not going to be heated. So definitely something to note there. As we start to move down a little bit more, so we do have a little button there that we can press, and that's going to show us, so we've got a built-in inverter as well as a few USB ports. So our traditional USB and our USB-C. Other thing to point out on the back, as you can see there, we do have a few cup holders, so just pull that down in order to reveal them, and all we have to do is just lift in order to lock it back into place. All right, now looking inside the vehicle, driver's side door. So along the top there, very, very nice cutout along the side as we go, and stopping because we do have our unlock and our lock button, as well as 3 individual seat memory buttons. Now the seat memory button's nice thing because we can create individual profiles for drivers, so we can set up our driver's seat, as well as our steering wheel and our side view mirrors, and then we're just going to press and hold either 1, 2, or 3, and that's going to remember our own personal preferences. As we start to move down a little bit, as you can see there, we've got the ability to kill off power to our side view mirrors. We can power fold our side view mirrors, and we've got the ability to move our windows up and down. Now this one is the 201A version of the vehicle, so for people down in the States, that is the Reserve 2, and that's going to give you a few added speakers throughout the vehicle. As we look just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, so a few buttons to point out. So this one here is going to open and close that liftgate for us. We've got our traction control, so we can turn that on or off as necessary. This is going to be the dimmer switch, and that's going to make the screen brighter or darker for the instrument cluster. From there, we also do have a switch to let us change between our different running lamp modes. Honestly, the only two that I really recommend you worry about are going to be at the very bottom, which is going to turn the lights off, or A, which is our auto setting. One of the nice things about the auto setting is that it's automatically going to flip us between the daytime or the nighttime running lamps, depending on how bright it is outside. Moving down a tiny little bit more, we do have our parking brake, and if we ever need to get under the hood, we're just going to pull the latch there. And if you are handy doing ECU flashes, things like that, we've got our OBD2 port right along the top. Adjusting the driver's seat inside of the Lincoln Nautilus is a very straightforward process, and it is power for the driver and the passenger side. Adjusting the steering wheel inside of the Nautilus is also power, and it's a straightforward process. So just by our left knee, there's a little pad. We're just gonna move that as necessary, so it's telescopic, so we can move it in and out. We can move it up and down. And once you've got that perfect position set up, so perfect position for your steering wheel, for your seat, as well as for your side view mirrors, you're just gonna press and hold either 1, 2, or 3 along the door in order to set up your own personal profile. All right, so first off, let's take a peek at the steering wheel. So starting off, the buttons along the top-hand side there, so we've got the ability to change radio stations or songs. We can increase or decrease our volume, or push this button in the middle in order to be able to mute. As we start to move down, we do have adaptive cruise control, so we can turn that system on or off easily. We've got the ability to toggle on our lane centering system. We can set our speed and then either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. We've also got the ability to set our distance, and that's going to be the distance between us and the vehicle that's in front of us. So we've got a few different options that are available there. And then we can also cancel out the cruise control system as well. Moving along the right-hand side, this is going to be our basic back button. So as we start to navigate the screen in the middle there, we would press the back button in order to bring us back to that main screen. Scrolling down a little bit, we've got the ability to either answer or hang up on a phone call. We've got our basic display settings. So display, we've got our gauges, trip, and a few other things. Moving down, we've got our audio. So we've got the ability to change between either AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. And we've also got our navigation. So navigation, we can press that in order to navigate to previously saved addresses, previous destinations, things like that. And then we've also got some basic settings as well. So this is just a basic review. If you're looking for more of an in-depth look at not only the steering wheel, but also the brand new Sync 4 system, check down in the description below because I've put together a more comprehensive video going over everything and how all of the features work. But looking at the basics here, great wheel. It's got a lot of flexibility and functionality. We've got a heated steering wheel, leather wrapped, and you can just kind of make it out. We've got the minus and the plus buttons there as well because we do have the capability to shift gears as we'd like to. Looking at our left-hand turning stick, we've got our lane keeping system that we can toggle on or off. The right stick, we've got rain sensing wipers, so we've got the ability to adjust how sensitive it is to rain hitting the windshield. And we've also got the ability to turn our rear wiper on or off as well, just by pressing that. That's the basics of the steering wheel. Taking a peek at the screen. So this is new for the 2021 model year. I like the way that they've done the screen. I think it does look really, really sharp and some good functionality. And we are on the new Sync 4 system inside of the 2021 Nautilus. So basics, we've got some audio settings so we can change between different sources. So either AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. If our phone was connected, that would show up. And on top of that, if we did have a USB stick with MP3s, we would also be able to use that directly through that middle screen as well, which is great. Phone, we've got some options there, so we can either set up Android or iPhones. And one of the nice things about the 2021 Nautilus is that we now also have wireless Android and Apple CarPlay. So love the fact we've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wireless now, which means that you can use the Waze app, Google Maps, or Apple Maps directly through that middle screen, which we do have factory navigation if we want to go that route, but it really does come down to a matter of personal preference. We've got a hot button there, which we've got the ability to edit it out if we want if we want to choose what screen's showing up, some basic apps, and then some more additional settings that are available. So different vehicle settings, clock settings, personal profiles as well. As I mentioned, if you're looking for a more in-depth look at that Sync 4 system, check down in the description below because I've put together a comprehensive look at how this thing works. As we start to move down the center stack, so we've got our park assist button there. So pressing that button, we've got either navigate to parking or we've got our active park assist. So the active park assist, the vehicle can actually help out with either parallel park out, it can help out with parallel parking, or it can help out with perpendicular parking, which is great. Let's have a look at how that system works right now. Now, using Park Assist inside of the 2021 Nautilus is an extremely straightforward process. We're going to button press and then literally just follow the directions that are on the screen. So if we look down the console there, so we look down the screen and we start to move down the center stack, we've got a series of different buttons there. So if you take a peek, we've got this little P button, and what we're going to do is we're just going to press that P button. And watching up on the screen there, so as you can see, so it's saying navigate to parking or active park assist. So tapping active park assist in the vehicle can help us out with 3 different things. So it can either help us out with parallel parking, it can help us out with parallel park out, or it can help us out with perpendicular parking. So we've got some different options there. So just because of the nature of the lot that I'm in right now, I'm going to be going for perpendicular parking, and it's very straightforward. So we're literally just going to follow the instructions on screen. Now by default, it's going to look on the right-hand side, but if we just take that left stick and we go to the left, it's going to default us to look to the left. So as you can see there, we can either look to the left, we can look to the right. It depends on what's going on with that turning signal. So I want to look on the left-hand side, we're just going to follow the directions on screen. So it wants me to pull forward. It's going to scan for a spot, and it's found one, so I'm just going to follow the directions. It's telling me to stop, Okay, now all it wants me to do is shift into reverse. So release the steering wheel, shift into reverse. So I'm just going to press the reverse button there. And okay, drive back slowly. So it's telling me to drive backwards. I'm literally just following the directions on the screen there. This is so cool. I love this. Look at this. It's got the steering wheel under control. It's doing its thing. All right, wants me to switch into drive. So moving into drive. Vehicle's going to start driving me forward. We've got a little countdown timer along the top there as well. So it lets us know kind of what's going on, when we have to start going, and we just literally have to follow this as we go. And that's it. It really is that simple using Park Assist. So really straightforward. I love the fact that we've got the capabilities to do that. Press that button in order to get rid of it. And we've also got our camera button. So we've got a full 360 camera that's available there. So all the way around. That is not standard inside of the vehicle. It is optional, but does look very sharp. And pressing the button gives us a front view. Pressing again gives us a front 180-degree view. So really useful, especially if you're pulling out of underground parking, etc. Then just one more button press to get rid of it. We've got a hotkey for some basic driver assistance settings, so our auto start stop or the auto hold. Moving down, so similar, very new, it's new for the 2021 year. We are now similar to what's going on with the Corsair, the Aviator, and the Navigator. So we've got our piano keys along the side there to change between our park, reverse, neutral, drive, or our sport mode. And we've got our engine start stop button tucked away in the back as well. Moving down the center stack a bit more, we've got the ability to adjust our volume if we'd like to. We can turn the volume on or off. We've got some basics for sources. We can tune. Honestly, like seeking and tuning this way is probably going to be the least effective way to do it. You do have the ability to just browse and type in a station that way, or you can just use a voice command prompt on your steering wheel in order to change the station that way instead. Down a bit more, we've got some basic climate control settings, turn the system on or off. We've got our fan control and pulling up a basic menu screen as well. Now, because we're in the reserve model of the vehicle, we do have heated and cooled front seats. So you're going to get those heated and cooled seats when you get the Elements package inside of this vehicle. Moving down a bit more, we do have a little shade there, and as you can see, we do have a wireless charging pad, a few USB ports, so our USB and our USB-C. We've got a few cup holders, and we've also got this little guy. So a little bit of storage space, and as you can make out there, we do have a traditional cigarette lighter adapter that's in the front there as well. As we start to move up overhead, so a few things to point out. We do have the ability to program in a garage door opener if we've got one at home. We've got our vanity mirror with the lights. We can pull that down, and we can also extend it out if we'd like to. So we need to block some sun, lock it back up into place. Now, as we start to move up, so taking a look there, we do have an auto dimming side view mirror there. There's a rear view mirror, I should say. So if things are a little bit bright, it's automatically going to dim the mirror for us. Up overhead, we do have a few different cabin lights. We can turn all of our lights on, whether or not the lights come on when the doors are open. We've got our sunshade, so we can open and close that one as necessary. And then we've also got our sunroof, so we've got the ability to open and close that one up. If we take a look overhead, so I pressed the button, that's why that's going on there, but we can adjust the shade, we can stop it partway through, or we can close it up completely if we want to. Now, one other thing to point out, we do have our sunglasses holder along the top, and we've also got perimeter sensors on the inside. So that's actually useful because if your windows are rolled down but your car is locked, if somebody goes to reach inside, it's actually going to sound the alarm if you've got all perimeter sensors activated. So that's a really, really neat feature. All right, folks, now time for the fun part. Let's take this thing for a spin on the road and see how it handles. Now, a couple things to point out. This thing is the 2.7 liter engine, so it's going to have a little bit of a kick, which I'm kind of excited about, like a tiny little bit. Maybe like a little bit more than a tiny little bit. This is going to be good. All right. Very nice. All right, here we go. All right, so nice and comfortable right from the get-go. I've got the cooled seats on right now, which it's 20 degrees up here, Celsius, so it's a little bit toastier than what we normally see this time of the year. So having those cooled seats, huge benefit. So definitely recommend. You do need to have the Elements package inside of the vehicle in order to get that. When you're in the Reserve, so it'll be the 201 version in Canada, the Reserve 1 in the US, you'll automatically get those heated and cooled seats regardless. So definitely something to consider there. Oh, this is nice though. That's just something, like, I just finished taking the Edge out for a spin as well. The Edge, don't get me wrong, it is a nice car, but just from the way it feels, like, there's literally no comparing the Lincoln side of things to the Ford side of things. Like, the suspension's better, the general feel of the vehicles are very, very different. Even though they're manufactured in the same facility, both of these things are made in Oakville, they just have a very different feel. So, I mean, it's ultimately going to come down to budgeting, because you're in the Edge, if you go for the Edge ST, like, you're 55,000 Canadian versus the Nautilus, depending on how you have it configured, you know, you're in your 60s. So, you know, you're probably about $10,000 difference from the Ford to the Lincoln side of things. So budget obviously is going to have a huge part in which way you go there. I've got I'm going to play with the adaptive cruise control system as well. When I get out on the highway, you can kind of see what's going on there as well. So definitely stay tuned for that one, but I'm excited. I love the adaptive cruise control system in all Ford and Lincoln vehicles. Like, it's just such an incredible system. It literally makes sure that, you know, you stay in your lane as you go. And just because of the technology advancing the way that it is, it's a comfortable drive, but that technology it does, like, it literally almost is a self-driving car, which is pretty neat. Here we go. Oh, that's nice. Okay, that's nice. Huh. So in Canada, when it comes down to availability, we only have the reserve models. So definitely something to consider there. Down in the States, you have the base model. So the standard, you've got the reserve as well, and black label, which we don't have it up here, but I get it. Like, US market is 10 times bigger than Canada. Yeah, it is what it is. It's different, like, everywhere. So North American market, different between Canada and the US, and then getting into Europe as well. Like, there's just different availability regardless of where you go. It's actually interesting on the Ford side of things. I was chatting with a guy who lives in Poland recently, and he was telling me about all the different vehicles that were available there, and it's just like mind-blowing, because Ford North America, we've gotten rid of the Fiesta, the Focus, and a few other things, but it's still available overseas, which is kind of neat. So it's all depending on the demographics, right? This thing is nice though. It's nice and comfortable. I've got the lane keeping and the lane centering system turned on right now. Not going fast enough just yet for the systems to actually activate, but we're almost there. Almost there. Should be able to get it to my 60s or so in the next little bit. I love how quiet the interior of this thing is. And it's funny because, like, there's an upgraded sound system that's inside of this, an upgraded Revel audio sound system. But just because of test driving purposes, you know, I don't typically play songs as I go. But the sound system in this thing is absolutely incredible as well. Okay, first impressions, pretty nice. All right. It's nice and responsive too. Here we go. Okay, so I've got the auto start stop system engaged, but it's actually not turning the engine off. So it's up to the vehicle when it decides to do it. Sometimes it'll do it, sometimes it won't do it. The vehicle is warm right now, but I've got the AC going. My cooled seat is going there as well. So I think that's probably why, because the system doesn't always turn off. It literally is up to the car when it decides to do it. So I mean, definitely something to consider there. You do have the capabilities through the system in order to toggle that one off as well. So I mean, again, matter of personal preference and whether that one stays on or off. Oh yeah, that 2.7 engine. You put your foot down and she goes. She goes. It's great. I'm like a child. This is great. Okay, same thing. Auto start stop did not engage. It's up to the car. At the end of the day, it is. I'm not in sport mode right now. I will Maybe I'll flip it on when I do, no, not when I do the highway drive. When I get off the highway. When I get off the highway, I'll switch into the sport mode just that you can see. Now, one thing to note is that when you're in the sport mode, the feeling of the vehicle is going to be different. So with the paddle shifters, it's going to hold the gear a little bit longer there as well. So, and then when you're dropping down gear, so it just makes it more responsive and it just gives you a much sportier feel in comparison to just using the regular drive mode. Oh, this is nice. It's a nice day, nice car, and I am the first one in line on the highway. Even nicer. All right, this is gonna be good. Now, obviously, this vehicle is not broken in yet, so I'm not driving it anywhere nearly as hard as you probably could be driving this thing if your vehicle's properly broken in, so definitely something to account there. And like honestly, any of the test drive videos that I've done, the vehicles aren't broken in yet. So coming up with a solution on that one, hopefully have something out in the next couple months on it, but exciting times. Oh, this is gonna be great. So this is the 2.7 liter twin turbo engine. There is the 2 liter turbo as well. So if you don't really necessarily care about the power, you've got some choices there. Oh, that's nice. Okay, that's nice. Oh, come on. Okay, that's really good. That is really good. Nice. All right, so I've got the lane keeping. Oh, that's cool. Okay, lane keeping system's turned on. Lane centering system is on there as well. So let's kind of see what happens. So, okay, all right. So I've got the adaptive cruise control system turned on as well. And it literally is, I've got it set for 100 and the car in front of me is only going 80 and change. So my car is just dynamically slowing down for me. So I've just decreased my distance, which should automatically increase my speed, and is exactly doing that. So that's kind of neat. I love that adaptive cruise control system because it's a psychological thing. Because if you have a tendency to drive with a little bit of a heavier foot, with the adaptive cruise control system, it essentially is that set it and forget it cruise. So you set it at whatever speed you'd like to. If the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake as well. So definitely a psychological game. But if you have a tendency to have a heavy foot, I recommend turning the adaptive cruise control system on, because psychologically you're like, I set it for $120 on the highway, but realistically you're going slower because you're following the traffic. So you won't drive. I personally don't drive as aggressively when I've got adaptive cruise control going. So something to consider. So clearly not opening it up as much as I could, but even though I'm not, it has a great feel to it. This is nice. This is nice. All right, I'm actually going to use the adaptive cruise control system on the road here as well, just so you can kind of see what it's like, because you don't have to use the adaptive cruise control system strictly on the highway. You can use it literally anywhere you want to. You just set whatever speed you'd like to, and then the vehicle's got stop and go, so it can literally bring you to a complete stop as well. So I'm going to set it middle distance. Once I hit 60, I'm going to set it there as well. Boom, there we go. All right, so I'm set at 60. Cars in front of me are going at least the speed limit, which is good. Somebody's braking, so I should start actively braking. Here we go. Yeah. So cars slow down, 58, 57, picking me back up to speed again. And same thing, you can open and close the distance up as well. So, I mean, you've got some flexibility with the adaptive cruise control side of things. Whether you decide to use it or not is going to be a matter of preference, but having that lane keeping, lane centering system, like I love it. Because if you start to veer over without signaling, because maybe you lose focus on the road for a second, if that ever happens, then the vehicle essentially is going to make sure that it's got you covered. So, okay, car in front of me, slowing down. There it is. So smart system from that perspective. We're not at the self-driving state as of yet, but hopefully we'll see that soon. I love how responsive this thing is as well. Like, I've got the car in front of me slowing down even more in the car, and then the second they pick up speed, I love it. It's such a basic, like, it's such a simple system and simple idea, but the adaptive cruise control system, I gotta dig into that a little bit more, because whoever created it, you're a genius. Like, this is a great system. All right, a little bit of chaos going up ahead in front of me there. Lots of traffic. Is this guy gonna cut in? Oh yeah, he's gonna cut in. He don't care. Oh, what's the car gonna do? Okay, so the car did not actually oh, because I don't have the system turned on. I flicked the system off for a second there. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, if you're gonna use the adaptive control system and you wanna make sure that it stays on, make sure that it actually stays on, because I did toggle it off for a second. And I was like, why is the car not slowing down right now? Because I toggled the system off for a second. Ugh, funny, oh well. This is actually nice. Now, when I first saw the 12.3 inch, like when I saw that new cluster, like I wasn't sold on the screen initially, but seeing it more and more, like I love the setup. I love the look and what they've done with this thing. It looks fantastic. The piano keys, it made sense for them to bring that into the Nautilus, because it was literally the only one that had some pretty dated looks to it. Because you looked at the Corsair, you looked at the Aviator, you looked at the Navigator, they all have the same type of interior. So for Lincoln to decide to actually bring that type of style inside of the Nautilus, I think is a great idea. Now, one thing to note, we're not actually sure yet. Well, I should say we, like Lincoln Canada probably knows what's going on, but other people, we have no clue what's actually going on with the Nautilus lineup or the Edge lineup yet. Like, it's manufactured in Oakville, but Ford just finished signing something with the Canadian government, with the Ontario or Canadian government, pretty much where the government gave Ford billions of dollars to kind of help out with electrifying the plant in Oakville. So if they're electrifying it, that means that something has got to change. And if these vehicles are manufactured in Oakville, either the Edge is going out the door, they're electrifying the thing in the 23 or 24 model year, or they're shifting production to another plant. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Edge lineup side of things. So I think like this is a great vehicle, great catch size between the Corsair and the Nautilus. So I can't see them getting rid of it, but it's like, what's that middle tier vehicle that they're going to introduce from there? Like, who knows? On the Ford side of things, you've got the Mustang Mach-E, which if you haven't seen that one yet, drop that in the description below, because I do a full vehicle walk around on that thing as well, and it is absolutely incredible. Like, I loved the Mach-E, which means I'm just gonna have to get behind the wheel of more EVs, which at the end of the day, we're gonna see that more and more as well as things go on. Like European Union talking about getting rid of any sort of internal combustion engine. North America guaranteed is gonna follow suit sometime soon as well. This is nice. And even not really opening it up power-wise, like it's comfortable, it handles really, really well. It is, it's nice and powerful too. Like you can just tell, like it revs low, like it's a turbo engine, but it doesn't have that typical turbo spool either, which is kind of nice. Well, folks, that was a look at the 2021 Lincoln Nautilus. What did you think? If you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below. If you kind of want to bounce some ideas off of sizing for the Corsair versus the Nautilus versus the Aviator, etc., let me know, and I'm more than willing and welcome to talk you through the process. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, think about it subscribing, and until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation, there's a truck coming that's going to be loud as and we can also show your position on the map there. Sorry. We've got our unlock button, our lock button, our... What does that button do? All right, Farks. All right, folks, now time for the fun part. Let's take... Oh my... All right, now time for the fun part. Let's taste... Oh my... Why?